It's been in the works for over 3 years, with talks starting in January 2022. United Kingdom has seen 4 prime ministers since then. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that there may be a swing and a miss, but India will always play with a straight bat. Keir Starmer says that the deal would create over 2,000 British jobs. Hello and welcome to our special broadcast. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The much-awaited India-UK Free Trade Agreement has been signed. Commerce ministers of both nations signed the agreement earlier today. The deal is estimated to boost bilateral ties between the two nations by $35 billion and bring down the tariff guardrails to a large extent. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer received Prime Minister Modi at the Chequers House earlier. During the visit, both the leaders will review bilateral trade ties and discuss issues including technology investment, climate, defence, migration. Now, as part of the trade deal, India will lower its average tariff on products from the United Kingdom from 15% to 3%. Products from the UK, including soft drinks, cosmetics, cars, medical devices, Scotch whisky, will get cheaper. The deal is also going to unlock access for financial and business services for both nations. How will India benefit from this trade deal? Well, the UK has opened up its market for India's labour-intensive goods, which will include leather and footwear, textiles, engineering goods, fertilizers, chemicals, petrochemicals. Agriculture exports to Britain is also likely to increase by over 20% in the next 3 years. Speaking at a joint press conference, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that India and UK are launching the Vision 2035 strategy to work more closely on defence, migration, health. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the Indian security agencies will continue to enhance cooperation and coordination on matters such as extradition of economic offenders.
Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी.
This is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. And I think I can say that it's one of the most comprehensive deals that India has ever done, boosting wages, raising living standards, and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier.
Cricket is not just a game, but a passion. And also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building high-scoring, solid partnership.
To take this discussion forward, I'm now joined by FICCI's senior leadership, Vice President Anand Goenka. He's also the Vice Chairman of the RPG Group. We also have with us former FICCI President Sandeep Somani. He's also Chairman and MD of Somani Impresa Group. Harish Ahuja, who heads FICCI's Foreign Trade and Trade Facilitation Committee, will also be with us shortly. And so will be Anish Shah, the Managing Director of the Mahindra Group. Anand Goenka, let me begin by asking you, to what extent does this FTA boost Indian industry's demand globally? And how do we also see trade barriers being reduced by both sides?
I think this is a landmark agreement made by our Prime Minister as well as the Prime Minister of both nations. I think at a time where tariffs are being raised, it's a great timing where we are working on various FTAs with many more countries. I think the big benefit to India is that of increased exports and a competitive edge over countries like Bangladesh, China, and increase our share in business in the UK. I'd say also that job creation sectors such as apparel, etc., have been focused on, which will really help creating employment within India. And then you have softer areas such as ease of doing business, digital trade, increased competitiveness of Indian labor movement to these countries. So I think to that extent, it's extremely comprehensive and puts India at a very strong position.
Right. Sandeep Somani, how do you expect businesses like yours to benefit? There's a lot of emphasis from the Indian government how labor-intensive sectors are going to benefit and get greater access, zero-duty access in the UK market.
Good afternoon. So it's quite a comprehensive agreement if you had gone through. And I think the government of India in this round of FTA compared to the earlier government's FTAs which were signed, which did not benefit industry. Industry has been, part and parcel of the discussions this time involved by the government to give its inputs. And I think it's a very comprehensive agreement that has been signed. If you look at the labor employment kind of industries, a lot of advantages, competitive advantages will come to apparel, auto and auto components, made-ups, footwear and parts, carpets, the marine products which will benefit our fishermen, marine preparations, which will add value to our marine products. So I think a lot of these areas employ a significant amount of labor, and these will all become zero duty. As Anant had said, this will also help India be much more competitive versus our neighboring countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, which gets 0% duty in any case, Vietnam, China, and other competitors. So I think this is quite a historic agreement and will benefit Indian exports significantly.
Right. Anand, if I can come back to you and ask you about the RPG Group especially. Now, we've seen how the UK today has announced investments that UK companies will be making in India, and Indian companies, at least 7 or 8 Indian companies, will be making in the UK market. Does this FTA encourage the RPG Group, for that matter, to increase its footprint in the UK, maybe consider more investments?
Yeah, so we've already been committed to the UK in different ways. We sell a fair amount of tires there. We invested in a tech company called Foolproof through Zensar Technologies. And this was possibly the first investment that we did one day after Brexit. So to that extent, even during very uncertain times, RPG Group has been invested in the UK. I think it's too soon just after the FTA to look at further investments, but certainly I think life will get easier. There will be social security benefits for IT service people. To that extent, life becomes easier. We can send more people there. And I think we will evaluate and continue to look at opportunities in the UK.
Right. Now, speaking about automotive, now the UK government has said that India will reduce tariffs from 110% to 10% on the automobile sector through quotas, and this will be done in a graded manner. Could you give us a sense of the tire industry, for that matter, or automobile components? What is the kind of market access that you'll now get in the UK, and what is the kind of market access that India will have to give to UK's automotive industry?
Right. So for the tire sector, there's actually not much change. The duty for tires into UK is at zero duty, and that will continue at the current rate. For auto comp, it has gone down. It was at about 8.2%. This will go down to about 0%. So I'm sure non-tire auto components will see an uptick in terms of sales into the UK. As I said, for tires, not much change.
All right. No, not much change for tires, but from 8% to 0% for auto components. So that's going to be a big one. Sandeep Somani, do you expect more investments to be made by UK financial services companies, insurance companies, considering that was a major ask? They were looking for certainty. They were looking for certain binding clauses in the FTA. Do you think this will now be a tipping point?
I think so. The Indian market is huge for financial services. And I think as part of the deal, many of these companies will now be treated at par with Indian companies. So I think that's a big win for the UK companies who are asking for this for a long time. And that will open up the financial services sector to UK investments. So that's a good move.
Right. Let me also go across to past president of FICCI and managing director of the Mahindra Group, Anish Shah. He's joining us from UK right now. He has met both prime ministers. I believe, Anish Shah, you were there witnessing that historic agreement. Could you give us a sense of some of the takeaways and how the Indian industry, the Mahindra Group, would immediately benefit?
Hi, Parikshit. I am actually at Chequers, the UK Prime Minister's residence. We were just with both Prime Ministers. And what I will say is that this is actually a fantastic step forward for India. The warmth of the relationship is amazing. Both Prime Ministers talked a lot more about things we will do together as both countries. And that really solidifies India's standing in the world. From a trade deal specific perspective, I think it is very well outlined. And I would give a tremendous amount of kudos to the Commerce Ministry and the Ministry of External Affairs and folks who've been working on this for a very long time. From all the details that I've seen, it is one that will position India very well, will also encourage manufacturing in India and making India the manufacturing hub, which is something that is important for us by facilitating exports, by facilitating greater innovation. And as the contours of the deal come out, what you will see is that it has been done in a way that is really a win-win and something that positions us extremely well.
Right. I'd like to ask you about automotive tariffs, especially Anisha. The text that we've received from the British Prime Minister's office, the press statement that says the tariffs will be reduced by the Indian government from 110% to 10% through specific quotas. Could you give us a sense of whether this is across the board, or is it only for electric vehicles or luxury vehicles?
But actually, that I will leave to the government to talk specifically about what has been signed. From what I understand of the details, all I would say is that it has been done in a manner that really strengthens the auto industry in India and is a win for both countries.
Right. And do you feel that the Indian industry is now ready for that challenge, the competition from UK car makers? Has this been done in a way which has kept the interests of local car makers, automobile makers in mind?
Parikshit, I'd actually put the question the other way around. Is the UK car industry ready for the challenge that we will pose to them by sending cars from India?
All right, that's a good one. But do you also believe that whatever concessions are being made, this will only be for electric vehicles?
Again, Parikshit, I'll leave the details to the government. All I will say is that from what we've seen, it actually has been put together really well.
Okay. The other question about movement of professionals. How does this agreement actually help the movement of IT professionals, those in consultancy, those working on cutting-edge technologies, emerging technologies, move more freely in between the countries, and also the startup ecosystem between India and UK?
It will help tremendously because, as I understand, there's going to be a 3-year term. I don't have all the details of that as yet. But again, in brief discussions with some of the key leaders here, we feel that it will be a huge step forward in terms of facilitating that movement, making that happen easily, and therefore fostering innovation and a closer partnership in technology across both countries.
Now, within the Mahindra Group, as a diverse business, which are some of the areas you believe will get an immediate boost and may encourage you to increase your footprint in the UK?
I'd say a number of areas, Parikshit. Automobile for certain. IT services will get a boost as well. We will look closely at hospitality and see if there are other things that make sense from a hospitality perspective. And there are a few other areas that we haven't fully understood as yet. As we get more details, we will look at a few more areas also.
Right. And from the text that we're seeing from the Indian side, automobile tariffs in the UK for Indian automobile goods has been reduced to 0. Would that be right? So cars being exported from India to the UK, what will be duty structure?
Again, Parikshit, I won't get into the duty structure of it. I think we will be very well positioned. And this is where we look forward to competing in the UK.
Right. And the important thing is that this FTA will now be a template in a way for our negotiations with the US and European Union. Do you expect similarity and do you hope for alignment in other trade deals?
I think the challenges for each country are different and their asks are likely to be different as well. So you're right that this is a template for other trade deals. But my sense is that there will be some meaningful differences in other trade deals as compared to this.
Right. Let me also go back to Anand Goenka and Sandeep Somani. Mr. Somani, to ask you about the FTA, the agricultural exports. Now, in a way, this FTA reduces tariffs on almost 95% or 99% of the agricultural tariff lines. Our processed foods, our pickles, our beverages, some of our wines also get access to the UK market. But at the same time, we've protected interests of our farmers by not giving in to compromises on dairy, wheat, rice, maize, and certain other items like apples and oats. How do you think the farm exports and India's farmers are likely to benefit in the long term?
I think we'll get better access to their markets, which are primarily fed by other countries. India's share in the total imports by UK is only 1.88%. I'm not now talking only agriculture, but in general. So I think it will, help us get into their food chain better through the big, processors of food and the big retailers of food. Very few items have been actually kept out. The bulk of our agricultural goods can actually be exported now at zero duty. So it will help our farmers penetrate the market better.
Right. I'm going to take a short break, but I'll request both Anand Goenka and Sandeep Somani to stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our special broadcast. We still have with us FICCI's senior leadership, Vice President Anand Goenka, former FICCI President Sandeep Somani, Harish Ahuja, who heads FICCI's Foreign Affairs, Trade and Trade Facilitation Committee, is also joining us on the program. Anand Goenka, coming back to you. Now, when it comes to both nations reducing some of the trade barriers, what are some of the rules or the entry barriers, apart from tariffs, which were hurting businesses on both sides and have been removed with this FTA?
Right. I think it addresses exactly as it's been addressed. The good thing is that it is a win-win. It is complementary on both sides. For India, jobs was important, and I'm sure Mr. Ahuja will speak more about it, but it's a great opportunity for the apparel sector, for the autocom sector. And for UK, the big wins would be on, whiskey, high-end cars, EVs. I think these are the wins. So both have certain strengths, and the agreement has worked out to the strengths on both sides.
Right. Do you also believe, and I'm coming back to the automotive component sector, if tariffs on auto components have been reduced to zero in the UK for Indian goods coming there, do you expect more manufacturing to be set up now in India?
So our overall trade levels are not yet high enough, possibly for setting up more capacity. But certainly, I think there will be an increase in supplies into UK. And then depending on capacity utilization as that comes up, certainly it can be an opportunity. If you look at manufacturing of cars in UK, it's primarily high-end vehicles. So in the end, it depends on really that volume. Is it high enough to take up capacities? I won't have that detail, but it's overall a great positive opportunity for increasing sales.
Right. Mr. Harish, thank you very much for joining us. As someone who understands the Indian exports very, very well, there were a large number of product lines which already had zero duty status in the UK, including the Indian pharma industry and generics. So, realistically speaking, practically speaking, how much do we really benefit in terms of annual gains?
Yeah, you see now, actually, I'm from apparel side, manufacturing of apparel and textiles. So we see this is a big boost for our trade, especially the signing of FTA, because other countries like our competitors, Bangladesh and Vietnam, they already have FTA with UK. So we are also coming on the level playing field with them. And this will open us a huge market, and especially for India. In apparel sector, 90% of the raw material we have in the country, unlike any other countries. If you see Bangladesh, Vietnam, their input of apparel is only 30 to 40%. whereas India has 90% of raw material within the country. This is the highest value addition in any product of export product from India. And also our dependence of our population on agriculture is quite high in the country. So it is also a very good form of bringing unorganized sector workers to the organized sector of the apparel trade, And our cost...
Mr. Ahuja, I would like to ask you about apparels, about textiles. What are our current exports to the UK? Are you already seeing enhanced orders, demands for contracts, long-term orders coming into the UK? And what's the kind of uptick you're expecting?
Yeah, we are expecting that within the next 3 years or so, we should be at least more than double, because we have got more inquiries coming in. And customers, they know that even though actual effect will happen in about 8 to 12 months, but they have already started looking into India into this major sourcing hub. Because most of the customers, they really like to work with India because of our judiciary system, our democratic system, and also our labor laws. They are the strongest in the whole region. And they think it's very sustainable to work in India. So they already have started plans of increasing placing larger orders in the country. So we see big gains coming in a couple of years.
Right. Are you likely to set up additional capacity for the UK, or do you believe that the market is still not that big for you to put additional money in more factories?
No, we already are expanding by 15% almost every year, because we see that till now most countries, especially, they are saying that China is not the final hub for importing all manufacturing goods. We have seen that America has placed 50% duties on China. Similarly, now, they know that they have to look for alternate sources. So India is the best option available at present moment for any country to import apparel from.
Right. Let me go back to Sandeep Somani. Sandeep Somani, a similar question to you. Are you now seeing additional inquiries, more long-term orders from UK? And do you believe that the framing of this FTA will give us that advantage in the region? We've always been speaking about the China +1 opportunity, but we believe that, especially in the labor-intensive sectors, the opportunity ends up going to Vietnam, Indonesia, Cambodia. Does this, in a way, give us an edge? And do you feel that now is the time for India to leverage this opportunity?
Absolutely. As Mr. Ahuja said, in the apparel sector, our competitors were already on zero duty. Now we will also get to zero duty. So it gives us that 9 or 10% competitive edge, which, for example, in some of these sectors can be the difference between winning and losing. And I think that generally when so many lines of tariff lines will go down to zero for Indian products, the penetration of Indian products will significantly improve in the UK. And we will be more competitive. India, as you know, is quite competitive in its manufacturing, with a lot of steps that the government has taken over the last few years. So I think scale will improve in India over the years, with more FTAs coming with other countries, as you are well aware. And I think that scale will provide an even bigger impetus for exports.
Right. Thank you very much, Sandeep Somani, Anand Goenka, Harish Ahuja, Anisha, for joining us on the program. It's been an interesting discussion. Let's see the fine print of the free trade agreement and when it comes into effect. Remember, it has to be now ratified by the UK Parliament. It has already been ratified by the Indian Cabinet. With that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. More news and updates continue right here.